You could be anywhere doing anything, but you're hanging out with us, and we appreciate that. So wherever you're listening and watching, and however you're listening and you're watching, we appreciate you guys for listening and for watching. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Game Plan Podcast. Alex Goodwin is my name. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM, on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. That's T as in tacos, S as in sangria, M as in margaritas. Kennedy Miller, my guy.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing today?
Man, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Ken, where can the folks find you on the artist formerly known as Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at _Kennedy Miller _. Again, that's _Kennedy Miller _.
All right. All right. And once again, SinLawPreps.com. Lamar is the connect on all things Central Louisiana sports. Lamar Gafford, what's going on, dog?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. I've been waiting for this all my life, but my Indiana Pacers 2 games away from winning an NBA championship.
Bro, he said waiting for this all his life. Meanwhile, Lamar got on the bandwagon. What was that? 3.5 months ago? But Lamar,
They don't need to know. They don't need to know.
Lamar's like, I've been here the whole time, baby. Look, Reggie Miller. Lamar, like, what you know about Reggie Miller? What you know about Jalen Rose? What you know about Dale Davis? Right? That's what Lamar is on right now. What you know about the Malice in the Palace? Lamar gonna be like, I was there. They was throwing beer on me too.
I mean, hey, when Jermaine O'Neal gave that dude the Falcon punch, I was right there cheering the ball, right then and there.
Yo, I am still. I do remember who it was, but Monty Jones called that the sliding head buster, and I have not been the same since. But once again, folks, thank you guys for tuning in, watching us live here on the Game Plan Podcast official YouTube channel. Don't forget to put your questions in your comments here in the comment section. You never know, we might just read it out live here on the show. And Lamar, I said T as in tacos. I should have said T as in 2, because the Lamar's Indiana Pacers are up 2-1 on the Oklahoma City Thunder. They won tonight, 116-107. Benedict Mathurin, 27 big ones off the bench. So Lamar, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being supreme confidence, how good are you feeling? And we're going to just play out the string with your Pacers winning 2 out of the next, 4. How you feeling?
I feel right now, at this point, probably a 5. I mean, I think game 3 was one of the games here that the Pacers, they really needed to see if they could win this one, just in order to make sure. Because like you said, game 1, you got to win, but you kind of won at the last minute here, where it felt like everything that went bad for the Pacers still was able to go right for them at the end. Game 2, you saw that Oklahoma City, they made the proper adjustments. They dominated that game. I think in game 3, this was the point again where Indiana makes the proper adjustments, and they let everybody know here that this is their game. They really needed to come out there in the game, get some confidence going. And of course, you know that coming back home, they were going to be able to get the confidence going for themselves. And it's kind of like what Charles Barkley has always said: the role players always step up when you're at home. And you could see that with Mathurin getting 27 points. You could also see that with TJ McConnell getting also some very good getting some very good production off the bench. 10 points, 5 assists, 5 steals from them. So it was pretty much a game where every one of those other guys, they really helped, and it kind of made Tyrese Halliburton, also Pascal Siakam, and the rest of their lives a lot easier in this one there too. So hats off to the Pacers in this.
I really have to apologize to the Pacers, because every series I predicted them to lose, and they keep proving me wrong. I thought this was going to be a 5-game series with Oklahoma City winning. And clearly I've been wrong. And now, the numbers are in their favor, right? They're 7-2 at home. They, The numbers just came up. The team that wins game 3 in a 1-1 series that goes up 2-1 wins the final 79% of the time. So we've talked about this over and over again throughout the playoffs, but it's always somebody else that can step up for them, right? Like Halliburton makes big shots. Mathurin comes off the bench today and gives you 25, 27 points. TJ McConnell comes in. Obi Toppin hit big shots in game 1. Aaron Nesmith kind of led that game 1 against the Knicks down the stretch to bring them back in that game. So it's so many guys that it's very difficult to game plan. And the way that they play so fast. Everybody's touching the ball, right? So you're never set. I was watching the game, and I want to say it was like 51-51. Oklahoma City scored. I was eating. I went down to eat. I looked up. Indiana had scored already. Like the Thunder had the ball. Like that's how quick they got it out. And so when you play at that pace and when you have so many guys that are involved in the offense, I didn't even talk about Andrew Nembhard, who like this dude's making big shots. He's looking like second or third best player on the team. They're a tough out, and for them only to have to win 2 out of the next 4 games, man, it's gonna be interesting down the stretch to see what happens.
I think what Indiana's been able to do in all of these series is they've been able to win a game that we later look back on and be like, that might be the game that tipped the whole thing.
Yep.
Right. When they won game 2 in Cleveland, right, with that crazy comeback. They win game 1 after being down, 15-16 in the final couple of minutes at Madison Square Garden. And then they did it again in game 1, right? Like that game 1, like if Oklahoma City ends up losing this series, that's going to be the one they look at and be like, that might have cost us a title.
Yep.
That's the one, right? And I also want to mention this as well for all those people who were saying this might not be an interesting NBA finals because there aren't 2 big market teams in there. I really want to ask you, why are you worried about a big billionaire corporation's pockets like that? Our job ain't to worry about their pockets or the NBA's pockets or anything like that. Our job is to watch basketball. And through 3 games, this has been quite the entertaining series. Right? Like Ken, Lamar, y'all was watching basketball at this time. In 2005, when Detroit played San Antonio and that joint went 7, right? Was that not an enjoyable series? Like a good series?
Very enjoyable series. That went 7, like you said, too. And the 7th game went down to the wire as well. So, you had to enjoy that one. So, and it's been pretty much the same thing for this one, where you've had at least 2 of the 3 games have been very good so far.
And like you're thinking about it, people are like, where's the LeBron? Where's the Steph? Where's insert big name here, insert big name there? It's like these guys are the new big names. They're going to take us into this next era, right? So I think we need to get acquainted with them, right? And let's not act like this is the first time Oklahoma City has had like a star or a superstar type player. Yeah, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden at one point. Harden wasn't a superstar then, but you guys get the point where I'm going, right? So there's for me, there's that point of that this has been an incredibly enjoyable first 3 games. And frankly, I'm hoping this goes 7. I really am. Really hoping this bad boy goes 7. But I also want to say this about Indiana. Indiana has this thing, right? Where if one guy isn't playing particularly well, it doesn't sink the entire ship. Right?
Nope.
Tonight, Miles Turner had 9 points? Right? Miles Turner had 9 points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be kind. 3-11 from the field, right? Miles Turner was Carter 6 tonight. Absolute Carter 6 tonight. Benedict Mathurin, Carter 2. Benedict Mathurin, Carter 3. You know what I'm talking about? Pascal Siakam, the Carter, right? If somebody's not good tonight, the whole thing isn't sunk, right? Like they've got a deep enough team to where Tyrese Halliburton, if he just plays okay, but everybody else kind of is strong, where in a game where he might not be at his best, and he seems to be a little gimpy, you know. But that kind of speaks to how deep of a team they've got. You know what I'm saying, Ken?
Yeah. I think it's a lot of talk because, it's not the normal names and it's not the young guys that we've been, I guess, kind of programmed to think that we're going to see in these games now that like Steph and LeBron and Kevin Durant are exiting. Like, the next coming with Zion and Ja and Anthony Edwards and Shea is above all of those guys talent wise, but his game doesn't command that same marketability. Like if he was jumping out the gym like Anthony Edwards, like he would be looked at as one of the best players of this century based on the numbers that he's had. But it's not, and people haven't necessarily gravitated towards it. But the dude just had one of the best seasons of my lifetime, at least, averaging over 30, MVP. These guys have won 80 games, I want to say, already.
Yeah.
So like the dude is balling. And then on the Pacer side, like Tyrese Halliburton is not flashy. Like he doesn't have like a crazy handle like Kyrie, and he's not pulling up like Trae Young. But the dude does not turn the ball over. And what we just talked about, guys can have bad games on that team, but it's always somebody else that's going to kind of pick up the slack. And so, like I said, I thought it was going to be a 5-game series. I thought Oklahoma City was a better team. But these dudes are, again, they are proving me wrong. So shout out to them. And like you said, I hope it goes 7 so we can see a bunch of good basketball left to be played.
And I do have a question for you guys, right? Like, because I've heard the conversation go around after the run that he's had over the past 2 months that has started the question, is Tyrese Halliburton a superstar? And me personally, I think we're starting to put the cart a little bit ahead of the horse, right? Yeah. Like he's been phenomenal, right? Lamar, don't shoot me, Lamar. Lifetime Pacers fan. I need to be careful, right? I just insulted Lil Wayne, and now I'm coming for your Pacers, right? I'm probably treading on real thin ice, right? But superstar, I think this is a word we throw around a little too liberally. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think at this point, Tyrese Halliburton has elevated himself into that conversation of very, very good player, star, but superstar. That's somebody when we talk about, like, you drop this guy on a team and they're going to be good solely because you have this guy. We're thinking like LeBron James from 07 to what? 2017, 2018, to where what? The Cavaliers were a perennial like team that we thought was going to win a championship. He goes to Miami, they're back in the lottery, and they have what, 3 number 1 picks in 4 years. LeBron goes back immediately, they're back in the finals the next 4 years. LeBron leaves and they're back in the lottery, right? Like, are you that level of a guy? Oh, are you a LeBron? Are you a KD? Are you a Luka? Are you a Giannis? Are you that kind of guy? I don't think Tyrese Halliburton is, but that doesn't mean he's not really good and really entertaining and really fun to watch. You know what I'm saying, Lamar?
Exactly. And I get where you're coming from on that. Like, superstar, probably not. Star, yes. I think he's probably introducing everybody to becoming more of a household name. And especially not with this run that he's had, but the last 2 runs that he's had last season, going back into this year. And I mean, you remember when before the playoffs they came out with that poll saying that he was the most overrated player in the league. And he has definitely shown that he's not overrated at all. He's definitely has shown that he can lead a team to a good stretch here, especially as your number 1 or your number 2 option, whichever way you want to even put it here, however you feel like it, between him and Siakam. But it's just that he has stepped up in these big moments and these big games here. And as you said, for most of those times that they've had to come back and win those games, who's been in the forefront of it? Mostly Tyrese has been in the forefront of it, and it just goes against to show you here of the kid and his stones are basically really coming out here and doing a very good job. And another person I really want to give a shout out to as well is uh, just got to give shout out to Rick Carlisle, man. Like this team feels like the 2011 Mavs in a way. I know that obviously you don't have the superstar that's Dirk Nowitzki, but this is a team that just works well together and also has a deep enough bench that again you have a lot of these guys here that can step up whenever they need to, and whoever's number can get called at the same time of here.
Yeah, and I mean that was kind of an underrated part that we haven't brought up on this episode, but we talked about it before. But the Rick Carlisle factor, like many would agree that there's a severe like coaching edge that goes to the Pacers, like not just the depth of their team, but the advantage they will have coaching wise. Like Rick Carlisle's been doing this for a long time. He's been doing this for a long time, and he's been very successful at doing it. Because he's only won one championship, amongst the names of Greg Popovich and Phil Jackson and, Eric Spoelstra, like his name kind of gets like dropped off underneath. But the guy's a heck of a coach. And the way that these dudes have been playing is a credit to them, but it's also a credit to the buy-in that they've had under Rick Carlisle. So you got to give him a lot of credit for this style of play and the reason why they've been so successful.
And like you said, the level of buy-in, you can only have these types of fourth quarter comebacks when dudes are fully bought into whatever you're selling them.
Correct.
Right? Some dudes, by the way, as hard as they play, you never played like Little League football, did you?
No, not Little League.
Okay. Or like I remember hearing coaches say, like, sometimes like you hear a coach say, echo with a whistle. You play till you hear the whistle, and sometimes you play through it, right? When people are running suicides, don't stop at the line, run through the line, right? The Indiana Pacers embody that. They live that. They're going to play the full 48 minutes. Just when you think, all right, they're going to, take out the starters, mail it in. Here they come, right? Now, Lamar, you mentioned the 2011 Mavericks, a team I was thinking about that this Indiana Pacers team reminds me of a bit and this is another team that Rick Carlisle had previously coached, though this wasn't a team that Rick got to the finish line and won a championship with, though that early 2000s Detroit Pistons team that won a title, right? Like they don't have a superstar on their roster. Like Chauncey Billups ended up being finals MVP, right? But it's Chauncey Billups, it's Rip Hamilton, it's Rasheed Wallace, it's Ben Wallace, it's Kennedy's favorite, hands in your pockets, Darvin Ham, right? Lindsey Hunter.
There was no reason for you to say Darvin Ham on that team. Like everybody talks about the starting five. There's no reason to throw D Ham in there.
I was just messing with you.
Go ahead, Alex. Keep going.
I was bothering you, right? Because
you got me.
Here's how you know I was bothering you. I mentioned hands in his pockets of Darvin before I mentioned Tayshaun Prince and Mehmet Okur.
Right.
That was for an audience of one, Ken. I'm sorry. Let me leave you alone, right? But it's this thing like you can have a championship team in some of these places or a championship level team that can make some things happen. But if you're in a place like Indiana or a place like Oklahoma City or a place like in Detroit, you got to be much more creative. You have to be much more astute. You have to have good coaching. You can't just roll the ball out there, right? And because the series is only 2-1. And Oklahoma City has been the best team in the NBA all year by far. If like judging by win shares per 48, the number of wins, they have 80 wins before the NBA finals. Like this puts them like on a list of some of the greatest, at least regular season, postseason teams pre-NBA finals in history. If they don't win, if they win, we won't talk about them in that same category as some of those death lineup Warriors teams or that 73-9 Bulls team or those Kobe and Shaq Lakers. But let's be honest, they right up there with them. But right now they're down 2-1. So Ken, adjustment wise, what do you think like they can do to tie this up in game 4?
You got to stop them in transition. Like you got to cut off the transition, which I thought they did a better job of in game 2. You have to capitalize when they make mistakes. So like game 1, they had like 19 turnovers, 20 turnovers. But if you look at how many times they were scoring off their turnovers, it wasn't many. So like basically it was just negated. Like they would turn the ball over and then OKC wouldn't get anything out of it. So you got to make them pay on that. And that's a lot of what OKC did in the regular season. They turned teams over the most and they were able to score off of that. You got to stop the head of the snake. Like, I mean, they're throwing bodies, they're throwing bodies at them, but you just have to stop that pace. You have to stop that pace and try and make them play a half-court game like you are, and, hopefully it gives yourself a chance. But these dudes got confidence now. Like they won at home. Lamar said it. Role players play better at home. Game 4, every game is a big game. Game 4 is arguably win or go home. It's a big difference from being 3-1 going back to Oklahoma City and being 2-2 and going back to Oklahoma City. So they have to win. They have to come out with a win game 4.
And I definitely agree with that too. And I'll even say this. I mean, you can kind of tell when they started off in game 3, you can kind of tell how the referees were going to call this game. I think from the first couple of calls that went against OKC were foul calls. And you can kind of tell that they weren't going to let them get away with the physicality that they have been getting away with in the first couple of games, especially in game 2, where, here they are, just trying to hustle at the ball and everything else like that. So that's probably going to be the thing we can see here. How do they call this game in game 4? I mean, are this set of referees, will they let them continue to, will they call it tighter? Because if they call it tighter, that favors Indiana. Or are they going to call it loosely? And again, if they call it loosely, that definitely favors OKC. So it definitely also depends on that end as well.
I mean, there's something about like the officiating, and I never really want to bring it up as it comes to like in the context of Oklahoma City, but when I watch Oklahoma City play, like it's really hard not to notice like how stark the level of physicality that's allowed when Oklahoma City plays defense versus when people play defense against them, right? Like Oklahoma City is physical, right? They are physical. They are in your jersey, right? And that's how people are taught to play defense, right? Ken, I'm pretty sure at North, that's how you teach them boys to play defense. Like
Right.
Oklahoma City, the way they play defense this year, this is like teach tape, right? But on the other end of the floor, it's wild to watch. No one can breathe. It feels like at times no one can breathe on Shea, right? Or he's falling all over the place. I think Nick Wright said it. Shea sometimes is falling all over the place, acting like there's a sniper in the crowd, right? And, we've seen dudes who at times, hunt fouls. We've seen, James Harden, those last couple years in Houston, he was actively hunting fouls, but those Houston teams that James was on weren't this physical defensively. They weren't this level of in your chest, make you feel it. It's going to be a long day. Right. So, and I don't even know if y'all noticed it. One of those games, I think it was game 1. Shea leaned in to try to like get a foul, and Nembhard just like slid out the way. Right. Because they know it's coming. Right. So that is something interesting to see about how this ultimately plays out, is like the level of officiating. Right. Because for me, call it both ways, man. Let it be physical on both ends. Shea can handle it. He MVP. He and I think that dude can get it done. And let me check the comments right here. Oh, okay. Stone said SGA looked gassed out there. Indiana's pace looked way too fast for him.
Yeah. I've been seeing that too. Like, and it's crazy with such a break that they had coming in. Um, because, well, I'm trying to see how long was Oklahoma City off going into the finals. But obviously, it's always a layoff between the conference finals and the NBA finals. I don't know if it is Indiana's pace. Like, I don't know why these dudes are looking gas. So it wasn't like they just went into like this 7-game grueling series, in the conference finals. But I have noticed that as well, and I'm like trying to figure it out. Like, why do these dudes look? Is the pace that fast where they can't keep up, or like I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
You know what I think it might be? With all these other teams that Oklahoma City played in the prior to this, they've had to look at them 3, 4, 5, 6 times. They played them in a playoff series 10, 11 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tonight was their 5th time playing Indiana this year. 5th. Like they going into the series, they'd only played them twice, right? So you don't have what, Ken, I ask you this question. If you've only seen a team play or played them once or twice, and there are other teams that you've played 5, 6, 7, 8 times, is it much easier for you to get tendencies on them or have a better idea of what to expect in a given game, Ken?
I mean, when you play more,
Yeah.
when you play the teams more, absolutely. Like, I mean, that's the thing about playoff series. Like, there is no like next game. There is no surprises. Like at this point, everybody's actions. You know what they like to run. You know where people like to score. It's a matter of skill and will. Like, who's going to be the better person at doing it? Like, nobody's going to throw somebody in game 7 like, oh, we've never seen that before. Game 6, we've never seen that before. Most of the time, guys are going to go down with the things that got them there. So by the time, if I'm seeing this 3 or 4, 5 times, yeah, I'm way more prepared for it. I still got to be able to stop it though.
And I think that's the thing about their pace, which is strange. It's like y'all are an NBA basketball team. There are other teams who might not play as fast, but possibly give you some sort of approximation for it. But it looks like they're completely unprepared. Like, I don't know if y'all ever played football before, like during a game, like during the practice week. They always, sometimes if a team has a real mobile quarterback, they'll put a receiver at quarterback. And they'll have them run scout. Be like, no, you need to run for real, so we're prepared for Friday night, because that boy gonna be flying, right?
Yep.
And it seems like, I don't know, at least to me, they seem unprepared. They seemed unprepared for how fast and kind of frenetic Indiana plays. You know what I'm saying, Lamar?
Yeah, exactly. And and I guess that's pretty much that too. Because like you've mentioned before as well, I guess it always seems like when you have the like a conference championship and everything, like whenever we see conference title games, and especially going in the NFL or even league championship series in baseball and stuff like that. Like you said, we've seen these teams play against each other a few times before that. Everybody can kind of get everybody's pace down a little bit, like the Eagles and the and Washington, they played against each other twice. And I guess again, these two teams, the guys that OKC had to face against before to get here were divisional opponents. So, like you said, they had to face against Denver 4 times. They also had to face against Minnesota 4 times before this one. So they kind of knew this. But again, just trying to slow up that pace. That is one of the things that they definitely need to do here in that case. And they've already seen them. I mean, I remember my friend, shout out to Robert Brown, it's his birthday. He was actually at that last OKC Indiana game where OKC won that matchup. And I joked with him. I said, "Little did you knew that this was going to be an NBA Finals preview for you, but here it is." And so it's just one of those things that they're going to have to do in order to try to slow them down, if that's the case there. They did a very good job in doing that in game 2. How can they do that in game 4? That's going to be the big issue here. So
Just limit the pace down. That's basically one of the things there.
There was something else I was thinking about, and I've been meaning to ask you guys about. The fact that going into game one, it seemed like Oklahoma City had already preemptively made an adjustment, putting Hardenstein on the bench and inserting Case and Wallace in his place. And personally, I was like, Ken, because you said it earlier, you dance with the girl that brought you here, right? You won 80 games with Isaiah Hardenstein in the lineup as your starter, right? As a coach, Ken, at times, what would make a coach say, all right, we need to make this move before we even tip the ball off in game one? Like, is that a sign that, all right, maybe this will give us an advantage, or maybe by having Hardenstein on the floor, Hardenstein might give us a disadvantage, you know?
I think it was an advantage. I don't think they thought him being on the floor would be a disadvantage. I just think, especially the league is so like analytics based, the numbers, like their numbers are really good with Kason Wallace being in that lineup instead of Hardenstein. And so I think they were trying to maximize their first group out there. Would I have done it? No. But I mean, I get why they did it. I just feel like, that's something that you hold. That's something that you kind of hold in your back pocket and like, okay, well, this didn't work. Our starting lineup didn't work. But like you said, it's what got us 80 wins. You know what I mean? Like, now it didn't work. Let's put out our best lineup. Now let's put in Kason Wallace. On the flip side, do you already want to put yourself behind the 8 ball knowing that Kason Wallace gives you the best lineup, and now you're down 0-1 because you didn't do it, and you're like, I knew that was our best lineup anyway, and I should have done it instead of. So it's always like a decision. Like, you're always going to go back and forth as a coach, right? Like, you can always think of another solution or what you should have done, and so that's the thing. I mean, that's the challenge and the beauty of coaching. Like, you got to make one decision. And you got to live with it. And your coaching staff has to live with it. And so everybody else can have these like opinions, but y'all got to be the ones that got to live with it, whatever you did.
And I think that was something I was thinking about as like, that's a game 2 or game 3 adjustment typically that you would see a coach make, right? Like, I remember, this is crazy how sometimes our minds can become NBA playoffs or whatever encyclopedias on the fly. But I think it was the 2014 Western Conference Finals, and it was San Antonio and Oklahoma City. And San Antonio had blown Oklahoma City's doors off the first 2 games. And Oklahoma City didn't have Serge Ibaka those first 2. They get Serge Ibaka back for game 3 and game 4. San Antonio gets blown out, right? So Greg Popovich is like, all right, what do I do? Okay. He puts Matt Bonner in the starting lineup. Takes out Thiago Splitter, puts Tim Duncan at center, Matt Bonner at power forward. Why? We got to get Serge Ibaka away from the rim. They won the next 2 ball games, right? The Isaiah Hardenstein move for Kason Wallace move felt like that type of move you make at the later parts of a series when you're trying to find that one little tweak, right? And I was like, go ahead.
It only works. Like, it's only good if he wins. But like, even Greg Popovich would have taken heat. Like, why would you put Matt Bonner in the starting lineup? And he's not a regular starter. You need to go with the people that got you there. Like, but if he does it, oh, he's a great coach. What a great adjustment. Like it's one of those things. Like 2014. Think about 2015. The Warriors are down 2-1. Andre Iguodala gets inserted into the starting lineup. Warriors just had this fantastic season. They won similar the amount of games that Oklahoma City won. I want to say 60 something. With Andrew Bogut being in that starting lineup. Insert Andre Iguodala, put Draymond Green at the 5. If they lose the series, what is Steve Kerr thinking? Why would he do that? Why would you not put your rim protector out there? But they won. He's Andre Iguodala's Finals MVP. Steve Kerr is hailed as the next great coach in the NBA.
That's fair. That's fair. I guess for me, it was just more so not the move itself that
Doing it
was
so
shot.
early. Doing it so
Yeah,
early
that
before.
was my thing.
Right.
It was like the move wasn't really like
Correct.
crazy to me, like the idea of it, but it was just like before we've
That's fair.
tipped the ball off for one game,
That's
we
fair.
haven't played a second, we haven't played a minute, we haven't done nothing, and you've already adjusted. It's like you've preemptively adjusted, and we don't know if this is actually a problem yet. It's like getting the. It's like going to get your oil change, and you like, bro, you're at like 98%. You're fine.
And
Like, get out of here.
it's one thing, like they were the best team all year. It's not like the 2018 Cavs going against the 2018 Warriors, where like they come like that. You could kind of see like, oh, they made a change to the starting lineup because they're going up against a juggernaut where they're like severe underdogs. Like these guys are the favorites, and they take out their starting center before game one. So on that side of it, I do understand.
Yeah. And what else do we have? So we got a question from Maya. She asked who we got for game number 4. Lamar, these are your Pacers. Lamar, how you feeling for game 4? This could in effect decide the series. What do they call it?
This
A
could.
pivotal game 4?
A pivotal game 4. Yes, exactly. Man. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that the Pacers could win this one in game 4, because if they do this, I mean, it's pretty much what else do they have to do at that point here in the next 3 games? But I do think that Oklahoma City is going to give them their best fight forward. And I still think that I have a sneaky suspicion here that OKC is going to figure out a way in order for them to bounce back. They've done this all season long. Every single time that they've lost, they have came back with a win. They wouldn't have won 68 games if they didn't do this season. So I do feel like OKC probably wins this game here, but man, Indiana wins it, man. I think you might put the nail in the coffin at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if this series has any chance of going 7, Oklahoma City has to win. Oklahoma City has to win the next game. So I'm going to predict them to win. But again, every step of these playoffs, Indiana has proven me wrong. So I just feel like setting myself up for failure. But I'm going to pick Oklahoma City to win game 4.
Low key, Ken, I don't know if you've thought about it like this. You might be their good luck charm. People might be watching the show, be like, see, Kennedy picked us to lose. We gonna be all right. Right.
Right.
And I thought I was the good luck charm for them.
They're like, oh, he just came over here from Dallas. Ain't nobody worried about him. They're like, so I think for me, my common sense tells me Oklahoma City is going to win this game. And simply because, kind of like you said, Lamar, that's what they've done all year, right? Like they've had different moments throughout the season, throughout the last couple years, where they've had to like learn and grow in like, they're trying to grow into champions, right? If they're going to be champions, by and large, I'm about 95 to like 99% sure they're going to have to win on Friday night.
Yep.
Right. Could they have a 2016 Cleveland thing happen? Could they have a 2023 where they come back from, multiple games down like Boston did against Miami? Sure, it's always possible. Could they have a comeback like all those teams that Doc Rivers blew leads to? We don't have time because we'd be here all night talking about how many leads Doc Rivers has blown into who, right? Could we have a situation like that? Sure, we could. But Rick Carlisle ain't Doc Rivers for obvious reasons, right? I really feel like Indiana is going to take game 4. I think Indiana is going to take game 4. They're at home, right? They've been really good at home this postseason. right? Tyrese Halliburton has been great when he's needed to be great, right? And it's like the strangest thing in the world for a guy like him, right? To where like he can be very passive trying to get other people involved, right? But when it's time to take the shot, everybody knows where the ball is going, right? And there's something to be said about, there are a whole bunch of other people who we think are likely more talented that probably wouldn't want the shots that he takes and takes without a conscience. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Because it's a debate that I have with my friends all the time. Like, because I got some friends that are, Trae Young fans and, LaMelo Ball fans, they think that they're the best, point guard in the East. And I'm like, and you can't deny what this dude is doing. And then Jalen Brunson, obviously. But I mean, like you just said, the things that he's done during this run alone has been spectacular. And for those of us that thought it was a fluke, me, last year, them getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, it clearly was not. They're 2 games away from winning the championship and being the best.
I think we might have lost Kennedy for a hot second. Wait, there you are, Ken. We lost you for a dot. We lost you for a second. But you all good. I thought what is what happened last year when I was talking bad about Galveston, the lights went out. So to move on to one other thing before we wrap it up and get on out of here, guys. The New York Knicks told Tom Thibodeau to pack his stuff, right? They sent a U-Haul to his brownstone or his apartment. I don't know what they got out there, right? But they put some boxes outside the house and outside his house, and they said, "Hey man, fill these up because you're leaving." Right now, Lamar, I'll start with you. After them just having the most successful run as a team in a quarter century, how much sense to you does it make that the Knicks fire the coach?
Personally, none. I'm just going to be very honest on that one. No, none sense, no sense whatsoever. I mean, like you said, one, they had their best season in quite some time, but then two, you do this right after. I mean, right after now knowing here what's going to happen with the East next season. I mean, Boston's going to be a little bit weaker because obviously you don't have Tatum. Milwaukee, regardless if they do have Giannis back or not, they're going to be much weaker because of Dame is going to be hurt. So at worst, you're probably going to be the third best team in the conference that I feel like, because we need to see is Cleveland going to be a fluke here and there, and we already know now Indiana's going to be there for a good while. I think Orlando and Detroit are middle filler teams that I think that they can rise up a little bit, but you're clearly better than them. I'd say you run this thing back. You should have ran this thing back, and hopefully that you can be able to see if you can do this again next year. And if you're not able to get to the finals or even get to the conference finals, then you can tips. But nah, I don't think that this was the best move for them at all here. And you can kind of see right now they're having trouble finding a coach.
Yeah, I understand why they did it, because I feel like there's a ceiling with Thibodeau being the coach, with Tibbs being the coach, but at the same time, you got to do this with an inkling that you're gonna get somebody. Like, I'm not moving off a B+ coach if I don't know that I'm gonna get, or if I'm gonna get an A-, A+ coach or not. Like, this is a team. Both of you guys just said it. Furthest they've been in 25 years. They got some momentum. It's not like this was like a last ride type of situation. They still got some years. So, like, you got to capitalize on this. We have touched on this so many times on this show about how windows close quickly. And so, like, okay, you choose to fire Tibbs because he doesn't he doesn't maximize lineups, and he might not play young guys, and he might only go 6 or 7 deep. Okay, so who are you going to bring in? That's the question. Like, we can always say, like, oh, this dude needs to be fired. Okay, who you bringing in, though? And so right now, the Knicks look like the dude in the club that's going around trying to kiss all the women. And don't nobody want to kiss him.
He getting drinks thrown at him.
Yeah, he getting drinks thrown at him. Like, I got a report 2 hours ago. They looking at Quinn Snyder. And I mean, Quinn Snyder's not no bad coach, but like,
It's Quinn
that's how
Snyder.
far we've gotten. Last week, I saw Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka, Jay Wright. Like, I'm seeing all these names. Now we're down to Quinn Snyder, and he denied him.
There's one more. There's one more you haven't seen. Billy Donovan.
Billy Donovan denied him. I'm watching. I see First Take this morning. Stephen A. Smith is basically begging them to interview Mark Jackson, who hasn't coached in almost a decade.
No.
And it like you cannot do this. We talked for years about the incompetence of the Knicks, and finally, when they look like they're getting it together, they fire their coach. Which again, I know why they did it. You don't feel like he's going to make the necessary adjustments for you to win a championship. So who are you going to bring in?
That is the strangest part to me, because there's two names out there that I could think of that might be able to help you get there, right? One specifically, right? Mike Malone, right? Mike Malone ain't got no job. I'm pretty sure he does not want to be sitting next to Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith, right? I mean, me personally, I wouldn't want to sit next to them hollering at each other all the time, right? Just me. Mike Malone is right there, right? And then the other name that I've been thinking about is Taylor Jenkins, but he might have the same problem that Tom Thibodeau has. Like, a Taylor Jenkins team, probably like a Tom Thibodeau team, to me, is a team that's not going to be abjectly terrible. They might be good to pretty good, right? They're never going to be great. There's always a ceiling on Tom Thibodeau and his teams. Tom Thibodeau has never coached, like, aside from that first year or so with the Knicks, like teams that were like abjectly terrible, right? Tom Thibodeau will get you to a certain point, right? But there's also a ceiling where there's also a hump he himself, for some whatever reason, cannot get over, right? Like that's a thing, right? I think the thing for the Knicks is, the issue is, for me, as much of a coaching issue as it also is a personnel issue, because at some point very soon, it is like the chicken's gonna come home to roost on the fact that they traded 5 ones, a pick swap, and Bogdanovich and Dante DiVincenzo for Mikal Bridges, who's never made an all-star team, right? Like, they put a whole bunch of money into that starting lineup, a ton, and their two best players cannot be on the floor together because they are both such defensive liabilities. They need, if they want to beat a team like Indiana, they need another 2 or 3 guys, right? And because they've dumped so much money into that starting 5, where are you going to get those other 2 or 3 guys? You're not going to get them in free agency. Like, this is when you need young talent to grow and develop and insert them into your lineup, right? But I do see why they did it as well, because, I mean, seriously, Lamar, as you mentioned so eloquently, the East feels really wide open, right?
It is.
Outside of Cleveland, look, we think Cleveland's going to be back next year. We think Boston's going to take a huge step back. And even without the Tatum injury, Boston's coming up on that second luxury tax apron. Like, Porzingis getting paid over $35 million. Drew Holiday is in his mid-30s, and they're paying him a ton of money. Derek White's getting paid a ton of money, right? And that's before we start talking about Jason Tatum, we're not going to see Jason Tatum until what? November of 26, right? So if you're the Knicks, on one hand, this is the best we've been in 25 years, and the East is wide open. This is our shot right here, right now. So I know, Ken, you were talking about these windows. They're open, and they're not wide open like they used to be. Like, we used to think a team gets to a championship or they're a contender, they're going to be here for 4, 5, 6 years. Nah, man.
Nope.
These windows are real small, real small. So on one hand, you're thinking, okay, if our window is very small and we think we've got a great starting five, maybe we need, to make a couple of moves on the roster, and the coach is the issue, then on one hand, okay, yeah, change the coach. But the coach ain't the only problem there. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Like, most of the things you just named were not Thibodeau problems. That's an organizational, a roster construction issue. Now, you can make the argument that it is a limit to how far Tibbs teams can go. Basically, with him playing 6.5, 7 guys, especially against a Pacers team who's playing 9 guys. But again, I just think, man, continuity matters, right? Continuity matters. And with everything else being in flux in the East, up in like with Boston and Milwaukee, and we haven't even talked about Embiid. Like, what will Philadelphia? Yeah, what will Philadelphia with Embiid look like? Orlando still young.
Detroit
still up and coming. Man, like, I would just be thinking we make a few tweaks here and there, we can still be contending, because Tyrese made some big shots this playoffs. So did Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Like, okay, let's run it back. Let's see what we can do. But I'm very interested to see where they go here. I actually totally forgot about Mike Malone. And I do think that can work. I don't know if Taylor Jenkins would be the right. I don't think he fits the Bob as a Knicks coach. Like, I think you got to be a certain type of dude to be in LA, be the coach in LA and be the coach in New York. I don't know if Taylor Jenkins has it. Tibbs was like that grumpy old dude that just goes to work. And like, like New York people respected that. Like, he's grumpy and he's always got this scowl on his face. And, he ain't got no wife, no kids. He's sleeping at the practice facility. Like, he's just working. And maybe they'll embrace Mike Malone. Maybe they'll interview him. But other than that, I don't know who else they could get that would appease a fan base that just went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And I go like, bro, you said grumpy. I'm like, man, if grumpy is a part of the job description, Mike Malone should start raising his hand. You remember in Shrek with Donkey, he was like, me, pick me, right?
But at least I've seen Mike Malone smile. When have you ever seen Tibbs smile?
Now that I'm thinking about it, bro, I've never seen Tibbs without his Tibbs. Like, I think Birdman got the shoulder, got this from Tibbs.
Yeah,
because I ain't never seen him with
this like scowl on his face. So like, I don't know, man. I kind of like Tibbs. I hate to see him go. The crazy part about it was he spent a year away after he got fired. Before he spent a year away from basketball, going around to all these other coaches and watching practices and organizations and developing new strategies, only to come back and be the same Tibbs. He didn't change a thing. He was just on vacation.
Tom went to go see his homies. Look, he wrote it off. That's
vacation.
Bro, that's when people go to conferences and write it off as a work expense, and they're really just out here. Oh no, bro, I'm in Miami.
I'm for professional development. You can't fool me, Tibbs. I know you was out there having a time
with a scowl on his face. Yes, but like, I mean, that is so funny. Because he totally did do that, right?
He did. They said he was at the Warriors. They said he was at the watching the Warriors practices and going with all his coaching buddies, and only to come back and they inject OG Anunoby with that horse tranquilizer last year to get him ready to play.
Dog, I was gonna say, who's probably happy to see him go? OG. OG Anunoby needs to file a claim. Like,
and Josh
ran OG into the ground. Like, that man's. What you say last year, Ken? That man he didn't know his name. He didn't know where he was.
There's no way anybody can convince me that man was fully coherent that game. I looked at his eyes on the bench before. He was not available. He was not truly there. And I think he made like his first shot, and everybody's like doing this whole celebration. I said, this man doesn't know what is going on here. He's like Christopher Williams. He's dreaming.
Hey, dog said Chris. Oh my God, Christopher Williams. Oh Jesus, yo, you talk about somebody that you see on TV randomly on one of these reality shows. You're like, because Ken, I don't know if your lady watches Real Housewives of Atlanta. She does.
Yep.
My lady's been on a rewatch of Real Housewives of Atlanta for quite a minute, and I won't lie, it's very entertaining, right? Like this be pretty good. I can see why people get into it. But I'm watching the show, and then all of a sudden, cross my screen, I go, "Hold on a second, pause that. Is that Christopher Williams?" I'm like, "What on earth is Christopher Williams doing here?" Shout out to Christopher Williams. I hope he's doing well.
Keep dreaming, Christopher Williams. Keep dreaming.
And I think Lamar's living the dream too, because Lamar has got off a sinking ship, and now he's on a ship that's 2 games from a chip.
Couldn't believe it, man. Solid dream, man.
Lamar did this.
I thought February the 1st. I thought that was the lowest part of my basketball career, and here I am. Just somebody just reaches out a hand, just says, "Here, I got you." Save me.
Lamar did the sports equivalent of when your grandmama tells somebody, "Girl, stop dating those thugs. Find you a man to go to church." Lamar did the sports equivalent like that. Lamar said, "I'm gonna go find me a good person at Bible study. Find a man that loves the Lord." Oh, we need to get out of here before we get into trouble.
Yes,
because we have jobs that we need to keep. And that is another episode of the Game Plan podcast. Alex Goodwin is my name. Kennedy Miller, my guy.
Always a pleasure, fellas. Always a pleasure.
Where can the folks find you on the artist formerly known as Twitter, my brother?
You can find me on Twitter at _Kennedy Miller _ Again, that's _Kennedy Miller _.
All right. Lamar Gafford, where can they find your work online about Central Louisiana sports, my man?
Yes, sir. You can find me online at Lamar Gafford on Twitter. That's all in one word, Lamar Gafford. You can find me on Instagram, primetime2832. And you can also find my work on CinlaPreps.com. Like I said, it is the off season, so we should have a lot of content coming up about the football season and also the softball, baseball season coming up past as well. So be on the lookout.
All right. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Again, that's on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. That is T as in Tangeray, S as in Seagram's, M as in mother. Follow the show on Instagram at _ the Game Plan podcast. Again, follow us on our official Instagram page at _ the Game Plan podcast. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the official Game Plan podcast YouTube channel, which if you are watching us live, is where you're watching the stream. Just go down right below, click that like button, click that share button, click that subscribe button. Tell 10 friends to tell 10 more friends to tell 10 more friends about the Game Plan podcast. Help us out. But wherever you're listening and watching, however you're listening and watching, we appreciate you guys for listening and for watching. For Kennedy Miller and Lamar Gafford, my name is Alex Goodwin. This has been the Game Plan podcast. We will see you guys after Game 4 on Friday night. Nas Reed.
Pacers.